Hello, I'm Donald Leggett. Welcome to the latest London Southeast CEO interview. I'm joined today by Steve Cope, and he's the president and CEO of TSX and OTC listed Silver Viper Minerals. VIPR is a gold-silver exploration story. It's based around the La Virginia silver gold project, which is in the Mexican state of Sonora. A maiden resource has already been released, exploration of new prospects continues, and a deep penetrating geophysical survey has just begun. Greetings, Steve. Good morning, or is that good afternoon? I'm not quite sure, I'm afraid.
No, good morning here. Good morning over here in wet Vancouver.
So you're in Vancouver, are you?
Yeah, so I'm not in a flood area, but I'm certainly experiencing all the effects of the flooding that's going on around Vancouver right now.
And we've got storms in the UK here as well. So there you go.
Our term of the day is atmospheric river. It's what you see on the news week after week now.
Let me start by asking you to give us an overview of La Virginia, which is full of silver and gold deposits as a region. Or is it more gold? Is it more silver in this area? And what is it that gives this part of Sonora such potential from your perspective?
Yeah, I mean the state of Sonora is very much known for open pit heap leach mining. There's, it's the #1 gold producing state in Mexico. And that's really, you mentioned our maiden resource that we came out with, and that resource was built around open pit heap leach mining as a start. To compare our resource to other resources is, the average open pit heap leach mine in the state of Sonora operates about a 0.5 gram gold average grade, and our grade in that resource is sitting about 1 gram to 1.5 grams gold equivalent.
So you're actually smashing it, Steve.
We're gold with silver. We're about 60% gold, 40% silver in that resource.
So let's be clear, you're more gold and less silver.
Yes.
Fantastic. So let's dive into the maiden resource. Is there enough gold? Is there enough silver in there to make this commercial? And I presume after three years of drilling, the answer must be a resounding yes, is it?
Yeah, no, I mean, at 700,000 gold equivalent ounces, the average open pit heap leach mine, again, that state, most of them started about 500,000 ounces of gold equivalent. So, we've already met that threshold, but El Rubi remains open along strike and at depth. So I think some of our drilling already has certainly expanded upon that resource of the open pit part. And what we're really focused on, though, is going to be developing an underground resource to go below that pit. And that's really, you mentioned the deep penetrating 3D IP geophysics that we're going to be doing. And that is setting us up for a major catalyst in the new year when we test El Rubi at depth. And go looking for a deeper contact under El Rubi. And there are similar deposits around the world that are these multi-million ounce tier 1 gold deposits. Actually Crescat Capital just did on that last placement that we did, got involved because they believe that this project is the model of some of these similar deposits around the world, like the Kellyan mine in Indonesia, which probably stands out as the most striking resemblance so far to ours. But it's at that contact down at depth between the rhyolites and the metasediments that you hit these bonanza grade gold and base metal type numbers. So we've hit some pretty spectacular numbers up in the andesites, but when someone says that it can get even better, we're certainly very interested in that, and we're going to be testing that right on the back end of that geophysics. The geophysics will show us where that contact is and the change of magnetics and the rock type, and then our team, we're going to add a larger rig and we're going to go down and test that. But in the interim,
and how does that change the economics?
If that hits, I mean, that's, it doesn't change the economics of the open pit, which is great for initial paybacks and everything else that you're looking for on your capex and everything else. But it would certainly change the economics of an underground resource and what that would look like on the project.
And so, when might you start the open pit heap leach mine? Give us a time frame for when that might get started.
That's it. It won't be our group. That's not our model. Our model is to explore and then look to vend it off to one of the major mining companies. It depends.
And where exactly are you in that process then?
There are people looking. There are definitely companies, which again is a major catalyst for our shareholders. Everyone wants to be involved in getting the premium that you get in a takeover. So, and I think our sector in general is in a situation where you're seeing M&A start to pick up here over the last month. You've seen some of the bigger transactions. But the gold and the silver companies, I mean, their reserves are diminishing, and there is a lot of pressure on them now to start going out and looking at what's out there. And, we're certainly on the radar of a number of them that are under CA, and a few have actually been able to get to site with the COVID restrictions. But yeah, no, I mean, I think because of our silver exposure and the combination of gold and silver, we're on the list of a lot of those companies as potential takeover.
And what might an exit look like for you then, Steve?
Well, an exit for me looks like a major buying us out and paying us a 70 to 100% premium on our share price. I certainly wouldn't do it at today's share price. I think we've had a pullback that has presented an opportunity to build people, or for people to build a position. But I don't know what that price is, because it depends what we found at that moment. I mean, I expect, right now the rig's actually turning on a previously untested target. We're on hole 3, and I know our geology team is very excited about what they're seeing there. And then again, that's another potential catalyst moving forward, because anytime a company makes a new discovery, that certainly moves the needle on the share price. And we're testing the first of 2 previously untested targets right now, and that rig will be on that target all the way through to Christmas break. And then, depending on what we see, it may return and start on that target, but we'll shortly into the new year, we'll also be testing the next target to the north of, right now we're on Paradonis, and we'll be testing La Colmena in the new year. So new discovery potential. You've got the deep drilling at Rubi potential, which, can be a major catalyst. All of those, any of those hit, also on top of our drilling at Rubi, and you're going to have resource expansion later into next year. There's a lot of catalysts coming, and, everyone likes that tier 1 phrase, and we're in the right jurisdiction and certainly have the potential ultimately to grow this to becoming a tier 1 asset.
So gold is doing very nicely at $1,800 or so at the moment, but where's silver? And where's the demand for silver going to come from? I'm sure you're able to tell us.
Silver has changed. Silver, the demand is, it's skyrocketing right now, because everyone's looking at what these various countries are looking with the green movement. The idea of all these electric cars and the infrastructure that's going to be needed to power these electric cars, solar, and the demand. It's where people don't know how to treat silver anymore. Is it a currency, or is it an industrial metal? And I think the industrial side of silver is really, what's going to drive the price moving forward. There's still that physical safety in it, and that is important, but there's just not enough supply to meet the demand that's going to be needed for even, a tenth of what these countries, even California in itself, talking about, going all electric. Even if they do 10% of that, they're not going to have enough silver supply unless silver prices run and these guys start paying a heck of a lot more to bring on, other assets that are subpar assets that have been around forever. And even then it takes, years to get something into production. So the demand for me on silver is coming from the industrial side, and it's not out there. It doesn't exist. And then you factor in, countries like China and what they're, buying and absorb for the infrastructure that they're doing. And, silver is so undervalued. We can go and, have days and days of conversations about why silver is undervalued and manipulation and everything else that, but I'll let other people, there's other videos out on the internet that go into that in detail. So
I've heard that one before. Definitely heard that one before. Yes. Okay, let's be blunt, Steve. Why should UK investors be interested in buying shares in Silver Viper? Why should investors buy? What's your pitch?
Like I said, discovery potential. We've had a pullback in the share price, so it's sitting at an opportunity right now. But the 3 things that are going to drive, on a major scale are going to be metals prices moving, and I think we are in a case where metals prices are about to jump. You've got new discovery potential, and then we've got obviously targeting the bonanza gold and base metal grades down at that contact. So you've got lots of news flow coming with major catalysts. Later in the year, you'll have a resource update, which is always, resets the floor on the stock on the valuation. So we've got lots of catalysts coming, lots of potential major catalysts in a right environment and the right time to load up on shares, in my opinion.
Well, that was absolutely fantastic. I just have to say thank you so much, Steve Cope, for joining us. He's the president and CEO at Silver Viper. That was an exceptionally good operational update, I have to say. I thoroughly enjoyed that. Tell us what you think of Silver Viper on Twitter at London Southeast, or Google London Southeast YouTube to receive alerts to interviews just as entertaining as this one. Thanks for watching, and as always, do stay safe.